stand up for the pledge. And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we start our meeting, we've had two important members of our community pass away. One was Bill's mother, Lorraine. Lynette. I knew I was going to mess that up, I'm sorry. Lynette, she has lived here for a very, very long time. And the other one is Kathy's husband, Hank. So we're going to say a moment of silence for each. We're going to have a moment of silence for each of them. Okay. Thank you. All right. Clerk Kirby, please call the roll.
Trustee Delmar? Here. Trustee McNeil?
Here.
Trustee Larson?
Here.
Trustee DeGrove?
Here.
Supervisor Rush?
Here.
Also in attendance is Clerk Kirby and Attorney Dietz. Absent is Assessor Ditton and Commissioner Krull.
Approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. Do you want to approve them individually, all together? We'll do them individually. The wonderful meeting that was led by Kevin DeLamar, who is here, is our public notice meeting, Town Hall special meeting from June 9th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second. We have Trustee Delmar. Aye. Trustee McNeil.
Aye.
Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Trustee DeGrove. Aye. Supervisor Rush.
Aye. Okay, and then we have our next meeting, which followed that. It was our regular monthly board meeting minutes from June 9th. Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Kirby?
Trustee DeGrove. Aye. Trustee Delmar. Aye. Trustee McNeil.
Aye.
Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Supervisor Rush.
Aye. And on our last meeting, we had a special board meeting on June 16th. Do I have a motion to approve those?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Kirby?
Trustee Delmar. Abstain. Trustee McNeil.
Aye.
Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Trustee DeGrove. Aye. Supervisor Rush.
Aye. Thank you very much. Now we have reports. You have my regular reports, and you'll also notice, that's a quick report. Oh, because I know why, because I forgot to put that on the agenda. You're going to follow me. All right, we have my regular reports are listed in there. We saw 298 people. We had 298 phone calls last month. You'll notice that we have, although it's not on here, we have now begun to have people come in for the farmer's market.
Yeah, that was a huge bump.
Yep, that is exactly what that is. Those are very popular for the farmer's market. I am actually working with next year because they were all talking about how when they go, the bags are very scarce when they go to it. So I'm working with my crochet club to actually make market bags for all the seniors who come next year. So we're going to make about 50 of them so that every senior who comes in will have a market bag that they can reuse. And in the report you will also see I've now included the Clark report, and that is our mosquito report. We had, I believe, 4 treatments. They want to actually add on another one, and Bob and I were all on that one, so we have no problem with that.
I have a question about this program. I was not on the board when this program was adopted. Were you around, Lisa?
It was well before. It has been around forever.
Oh my God, that's been
Forever.
it's been around since before I could vote. So
I was wondering what kind of environmental impact information they provided, and maybe we can,
George would always come in and love to talk to you about that. He has no problem coming in and talking to you about that.
okay.
I know that they have gone a little bit lighter on things and used different, he says the process that they used before is quite different from the process that they use now.
There was just a conversation at a meeting that I was at about the decline of the frog population. So I said I'd find out a little bit more about the mosquito.
With that.
I think over by my pond, there's plenty of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they don't spray it.
yeah, exactly. I have just a retention pond a half a block away from me and I hear them all night long. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? This Thursday, in my report I will also give you, the chamber is having a luncheon, and it's basically to try to get new members to come, but it's also a fun time to take the staff, so I will close the office for about an hour and a half and take all of the staff to the chamber luncheon, just to, you know, a nice summery luncheon thing. We also invited the, which Jeannie will get to, we invited the volunteers and the Lake County workforce kids that we have. Sydney is one of them. And we are still rolling along on our Wednesday of delivering food for Catholic Charities and Meals on Wheels. Oh, and of course, because we covered them up, I almost forgot. You'll notice that we have these beautiful new windows. Beautiful new windows. I mean, already you can, you know, just walking near them, you can, there's no air coming through them, there's no rain coming through them. The people who are putting them on could not believe how rotted some portions of the bottom of the wood are. And the other thing they said was, if we were going to be replacing things, the next big thing they would suggest is the doors, because of the fact that they're all rusted. And if you'll notice on the bottom of the two side doors, you can see weeds growing through them, and that's because they are not completely sealed. So he said that would be something that we might want to look at. But they started here just because I wanted these to be in for our meeting, and they're going to be moving around the outer of the building. They're currently over in the Lake County Health Department right now.
Can they provide a written report on the mold and or the rot damage that they saw down there? Just so we have that in our records.
You want them to report it?
Yeah, they're the ones who've done the work. They should be able to determine, or, right?
Maybe take a couple pictures too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Just
as
say,
they
this is the
start
damage
going
that
on.
was here that we've had to repair as part of this,
Yeah.
just so we have that.
Nice documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
As
that's
they
a
go
good idea.
around, I'm sure, I know the windows in that general area too there's lots of rain that gets into my office and into Dave's office. I don't know if there's any rain coming into your office, but we will definitely look into that as well. I'll have them make sure they know. Okay,
Thanks.
so that is it for me. We have Assessor Ditton. His report is listed in here as well. It just says that he's been working to finalize assessments for 2014, and the assessment or books will be submitted to the Chief County Assessment Office by the statutorily mandated date of July 15th. He expects the assessment notices will be published by the county about mid-August, so watch the mailboxes. Mid-August will also end our summer hours. And we'll go back to regular hours, which will be 4:30 Monday through Thursday until 3 o'clock on Fridays. And the reason we do that is because of the notices that go out mid-August. Okay, and that
I
is,
have a question. You and your staff and the clerk's office does a great job about reporting numbers of telephone calls and requests and things like that. Is there some way to get the assessor to come up and get on board and tell us how many people walk in and how many phone calls he fields?
I know you have requested that from him in the past. I would just request it from him again. Next, we have Commissioner Kula's report. And number one, he has, during the end of June, curbs were installed on Nielsen Drive and the road surface was paved. It's now complete with the exception of a small punch list. Restoration on both streets is complete. This includes restoring yards, existing sidewalks, and retaining walls. The construction cost for Brorson and Nielsen Drive will be approximately $20,000. He is continuing to work under budget, I'm sorry, $20,000 under budget. Forgot two very famous words. Yeah, I know, when I just signed one of those checks, I'm like, every time I sign one. We are continuing to work with LCDOT to improve the south end of Lakeside Avenue in 2015 by including Lakeside in the Washington Street bid process. He's currently waiting for cost estimates from the Lake County Department of Transportation and will update the board as soon as he receives more information. He's also currently working off Lakeside Avenue, replacing driveway culverts that have exceeded their lifespan. Additionally, he's replacing some storm sewer in badly needed areas that are prone to erosion. Paving, which is scheduled for August 1st, may be delayed due to the frequent rain events they've been experiencing. In addition to his report, I will report on Washington Street. Washington Street, according to your wonderful website, appears that it's going to be done about July 21st.
That week.
That week of July 21st, weather dependent. And I did provide a link on our Facebook page, and there is a link on our website as well. In addition, our sign will be moved. We're kind of waiting for the check to get in because that's how we're going to pay for the sign to be moved. So that's supposed to be, the check is already in process of coming to us, and we have it so that the sign will be moved by, I believe, August 10th because they wanted it completed by about August 14th, August 15th. Okay. Also, in addition, you'll notice that the meeting was not listed on there, and I did explain this to one of our trustees earlier. Our meeting is not on there. Right now, when they were doing some work out there, they tripped a wire or something. So the connection between the computer that you enter what's going on out there and the sign is messed up. I didn't want to have them come out for twice, so they're going to fix that when they move the sign. And then we will be back updating everyone about our meetings and other things that are going on in the township. All right, Clerk Kirby.
I have a number of things on my report. First of all, I'd like to introduce you, stand. Cindy, this is Cindy DeVos. She is one of the 3 people that work with the Lake County youth, and we were lucky enough to get her. And so there's 2 others that obviously didn't have a ride today. And so let me talk a little bit about Sydney first. Sydney has been very influential and very diligent about her work here at the township. She has, along with Dory, have completely taken out every box out of our storage, put it in numerical order, sorted with my direction, labeled, went through all of the files in our office that were in terrible disarray, put them in alphabetical order. She has been amazing. Straightened up the keys, just everywhere she wants. She's been here. She's done an amazing job, and couldn't have done it without her. So I wanted to introduce you. So you attached a name to her face. Some of you may have met her as you popped into the office, but she's a student, a high school student at Round Lake. And I happen to know, I hope I'm not telling you a secret, she's saving money because she's planning to go to Europe.
Nice.
So
Nice.
next year, right? Yes, next year. So she's really saving money, and she went to summer school, and we have asked permission and received permission to keep her on 1 more week after the program is ended to make up some of the hours that she lost for summer school. So we're very excited to have her, though I missed her today. She wasn't there today. So Dory.
Sydney.
Sydney is just one of the, Dory is the other one, is one of the partners in crime. You don't have to stand, or you can sit. And you can even leave, Sydney, you don't have to stay. Dory is another one of the girls that are working with her. Both of them have goals and have expectations for college. And together they have been a dynamite force in the office. You know, one of my goals was to get the records completely organized and up to date and be able to dispose of those that we can. And they have been incredibly helpful in doing that. Down to, like, tomorrow, one of their tasks is to go through 2 boxes that are labeled really old stuff. And they will sort through it and determine the date range, and then I'll be able to go through and put them in the right places and make sure that they meet the code. So I couldn't have done it without them. So Thank you. Very nice. She'll get a really nice recommendation from me, but I wish I was going with her to Europe. Dory has been her partner in crime, and she's also a high school student, and I'm sorry she's not here. And she is just a volunteer. She does not get paid by the county. She comes because her brother does, and she rides with him here. Her brother's going to be a freshman next year, and she wants to make sure he's safe, so she comes here with him every day. And she didn't have anything to do, so I said, hey, fill out a volunteer form. And so she's been volunteering and has done a remarkable job as well. And then her brother, Jamari is going to be a freshman next year. He's relatively young. You should have noticed that we've had a lot of weeding done. He has done a lot of weeding, chopped down all the weeds around the sign, been pruning and doing all kinds of things that he can do all by hand because they're not allowed to use any machinery. And but mostly he's been helping out the assessor's office. He's been shredding the documents that have been approved by the state, and he is nearly completed. We anticipate his last day is the 25th, and we anticipate that he will have all their records shredded by then. He comes over a couple of times every day to tell me how many bags he's taken, shredded bags he's taken to the garbage. So he has also done a wonderful job. So I wanted to introduce you to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you do not have to stay. Is your mom waiting for you?
No,
No, okay. You can if you want. It's up to you.
I'm gonna leave.
You're gonna leave. I
Enjoy
completely
your evening.
understand.
Thanks,
Nice to
Sydney.
meet you.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You also have in your packet the FOIA reports. We've had 3 new FOIAs this month. We're pretty consistent. We seem to be getting 2 or 3 FOIAs every month. When I miss a month, it seems that they catch up the next month. They've all been completed. There was a FOIA, I would say a month and a half ago, that requested the names and amounts of the GA recipients, and we denied that FOIA request, as well as the same FOIA request was made to other townships. All of us got together and we all denied that FOIA because of confidentiality issues. The person that did the FOIA did challenge it, and we won. And so it's just a really good example of the clerks working together on broad-based requests. So we have regular meetings, and we really, all of us felt that this was none of anybody's business, the names and the amounts. You wanted the names and the amounts of assistance that have been given to clients over a period of time.
I believe it's state law too. I don't think we can give it out anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it was
It came
challenged,
through all the supervisors first, and we all knew that this was something you couldn't do, so we passed it.
but we
on
still
purpose.
challenged it, and what we won, and that's all that matters. And then keep you up to date with the records. I am so happy to report that all the records have been reviewed except for those 2 cases sitting in the back conference room. They've been reclassified for storage or disposal. We have requested to have 60 boxes of records disposed to the Records Commission in Springfield, and I've talked to Lisa about this. Because of the depth and breadth of what we're doing to update our filing system, we've going to be hiring a truck to come out here. It's $100 for them to bring the shredder to the township, and then it's $5 a box. It's the cheapest we found. I've checked a couple of places. The rough estimate for the cost is going to be about $350. And then we will be completely up to date. All the storage will be gone. We will have room to label and make sure, and every box will have what's in it, the classification, and when's the next date that we can dispose of that box.
And to tag on to that, I am going to open that to the community, that they can bring in a box of shredded items, and haven't yet quite come up. I could probably take it out of my discretionary fund, but I think if we will work on getting boxes together and we can shred, because I don't know about you, but I have tons of stuff at home that also needs to be shredded. So I would obviously pay the $5 myself, but for any of the citizens in Avon Township who'd like to have anything shredded, I think we will let them come in once we get the sign fixed, and we will have everything shredded, and we will cover the $5 per box.
It will take at least 60 days for the state to approve
Right.
the
So it's not
destruction
gonna
of
be
the
for a while.
material, so it's not going to be until the start after the start of school. They did send us a memo, all the clerks memo that said it, and also the supervisors that said that the time, they're gonna shorten the time to 30 days, but nobody believes that. But I'm anticipating 60 days. Also in your packet is the United Way resource guide. I put one in everybody's packet, just so you have it, and this year it is in English and Spanish. And it's just a valuable resource of all the different agencies within the county. And if you don't want yours, if you have no need for it, just leave it with me and we'll have them available for people. But I wanted to make sure you saw that I have one at work, but I'm sure you do. Yes. And then you'll notice the final thing is the report of the people that are on supervision, work steps. Yeah, that's the word, community service. And the report for community service. And because our community service is getting rather big, we processed over 76 community service people since the time I started keeping records for the township. And the ones that are highlighted are the ones for the last month, just so that you're aware of that. That's it for my report.
All right, are there any trustee reports?
I have one.
Okay.
I joined the food pantry board, so I've been working with Wendy on that. We've actually, because of the way the meetings have sort of fallen, we've had 2 meetings. We have gotten approval to upgrade the electrical work over there as well as the plumbing, and that is because we are going to be bringing in more refrigerators, more freezers. We're going to be in the dairy program. So it's going to be a huge step for the food pantry to have that available. And they're also going to rough in what I call a dirty sink, so they can put their mop water in the dirty sink and not be using dirty and clean in the same sink. So that's kind of where that's at. And they're also, I'm sure you guys all saw the chili dinner thing that came up.
All right, anybody else? All right, next we have initial discussion on the long-term plan. And Chris made up this packet, which I will let him explain.
Yeah, so for the last few months, in fact, going back to our last town meeting in April, I think one of our residents, Jim Denomey, had talked about the long-term plan, and we've been discussing it on and off. Now that we've gotten through some of the cleanup work, it's time to start looking forward. So I wanted to put this in front of you. One of the things that our resident Denomey had mentioned was going through something called a SWOT analysis. For somebody who's never done it before, you're going, what's that? So I put together, really this is just a nice template and an overview of what a SWOT analysis is. And what I'd like to do is encourage everybody to finish these, go through, start listing all of these things, reading through, some examples that are there. Try and put this together to try and give us just, what are we really good at, what are we not so good at, where can we, see opportunities in the community, and where do we see, potential pitfalls from those opportunities. But I wanted to give everybody a chance to sort of read this on their own, digest it, email me if you have questions. I'd be happy to reply to you individually. And sort of get this ball rolling to say, okay, where are we now? What can we do with what we've got?
As I didn't understand quite what you were going to be talking about, I had been discussing some things in the office, and I mean there are just 3 really big, well, 3.5 really big things that I would like, and this is just, to maintain the building and the land that we're on. One of them is the parking lot, which I've talked to Brad Schneider's people, and they're his office person, and she is, I don't remember what her title is, but she is looking for grants for us for the parking lot. And as I spoke to Bob today, he too would like his parking lot redone, so he would like to piggyback on us in order to get that done. The other thing, obviously these doors that were just talked about, I believe those are probably going to be a very costly thing too, so that is something else we need to work on. The third thing, and I spoke to Bob about this, and when I first brought it up to him, he started laughing. He goes, I've already done that, but I understand why you want to redo it. one of the things right now is Suzanne drives the bus, and every morning, she drives to the highway department, picks up the bus and brings it back here, and then her transportation leaves from here. She used to be able to park into the food pantry garage, but unfortunately she can't park there anymore because they use it for storage. And that is why it was originally built, was to house the bus. But since that is done, one of my things that I'd like to see is our back garage. And I had talked to Bill about this, and then I talked to Bob about it, and it's gonna need a little bit more work. But the main big thing that I would like to see is that we make a space in there for Suzanne to ride the bus. If we have to graze it and start all over again, then so be it. Dave says there's a crack, and he's not quite sure if it's going through the whole foundation. And when I spoke to Bob today, he says he would be happy to get somebody out here to look at it, but there is a huge crack that kind of goes through, so he doesn't know if it's gonna cause that we are gonna have to knock it down and rebuild it back up. But widen it so that the bus can fit in it. If we don't have to knock the whole thing down, then just add on to it so that there's a higher spot. And also make a shed-like area towards the back of it to store things, because right now what we do is, like in your own garage, if you have extra things, you kind of store them around the cars. And that's what we do with our lawnmower and everything else. So what we'd like to do is, you know, perhaps bring it back a little bit and have like a shed area so we can store all those kind of things in there, including if once we go back to having gardens, that we can store all the equipment in there as well, because right now we store shovels and stuff like that in our closet in the office. And those are my 3. Oh, and the half thing is, Bob believes that only half of the roof is newer, and it was just done in maybe the past 6 years, 6 to 8 years.
They put a roof on.
He says it's only on half the building, not on the building.
Yeah, I don't remember now. I know it was like 25 grand.
Okay. Right, so that's half the building, and then he says the other half's gonna have to be done, and which we kind of figured out when they started having leaks in that general area over there as well. So those are my things that I would like to see on the long-term plan.
You'll be really happy to know that cleaning out and organizing the garage is on the girls' list for tomorrow.
Yeah, but still it's,
Well, I'm not saying it's
I
gonna
know,
solve
yeah,
the problem,
yeah.
but at least you'll get
Right,
it solved.
yes.
So,
yeah, I know. That was something I wanted to come and do on a Saturday and a Sunday, but I just haven't found the time either. Okay, that's,
You brought up the gardens. I know that's a big thing, to get that done the way that I think the original vision was intended to be done. That would be a really great long-term type thing to do as well. You know, I know there's other things in the community that we want to be able to do besides focusing just on our building, although the house cleaning is obviously a big deal. Pardon me. I know we've had some discussion, Bill and I have had some discussion as well about you know, helping out the ball field a little bit more. It's an investment in our community, and to give them, you know, good facilities could help generate, you know, additional interest in that program. So there's certainly one of the things that I'd like to consider looking at. And again, these are all ideas and things that we can look at. It doesn't mean that this is what we're gonna do. It's just some thoughts that are out on the table right now.
yep,
it might be good for you to know, Chris, that we're looking at doing a needs assessment through BEST and other social agencies that service the area. And I'm sure once we do that, they would be happy to share it with the township. But there are some things that came up during the election regarding extending services and augmenting services, because we really have a lot of our agencies that are drained and just can do no more. So what can we do to augment, to supplement what they're doing already too? So that would be some of the things that I would.
right. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add to the initial discussion on the long-term plan? Okay, everybody will look through that, and then we can set up, what are they called? You know the type of meetings.
Committee of the whole.
Committee meetings about the, it's been a long day. All right, the next thing is the bathroom remodeling. Attached you will see, and these are the hall bathrooms. Anybody who has ever used them knows that they are in poor shape. And we were waiting for the health department, because the health department seemed to be the main reason why it was, and they seem to have a different clientele that that has been using their restrooms. So we think it's about time. And the other thing we're going to do is go back to closing the doors and offering keys so that we can kind of tell who was the last person in the bathroom, so that we don't find cake, coffee, and just huge messes in the bathroom. So here is the estimate, and that you'll notice number 14, number 13, it says this quote is for one bathroom remodel. It would be about $5,000 per bathroom to redo them. He does believe there's probably slight mold in there just because of the fact of of how long it's kind of sat there with the tiles, and there's cracked tiles behind the toilet and stuff like that. So that is something that I would like to have for consideration. It doesn't say voting on there.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, so we can vote for it. So, do I have a motion to approve the remodel of the 2 bathrooms?
Is that,
I'll make the motion.
I would suggest too that you include a notice to him that he has to pay prevailing wages and provide a copy of our prevailing wage ordinance
Okay.
to him.
All right,
And then include that on his proposal that he is paying prevailing wages.
okay.
They have been cracking down. If you decide to go for it.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I guess I'll second so we can open up for discussion.
Okay. And now open for discussion.
Now you're talking 10 grand in for the 2 bathrooms roughly at the, well,
Yeah.
we never know when you get into a bathroom over the 5-2 we make. It shouldn't be too bad, 'cause
Well, when we did the kitchen, he was pretty much on target for the kitchen, even knowing that there might be some mold back there. So when he did the kitchen and the other bathroom, he was well under estimate. And one of the things that he put there, he put 2,000 to 2,500 in materials. And then when he was talking to me, he said, when I went in there, although I didn't pick the cheapest stuff, I did go good, but not over the top, so.
And do we have it in our line items?
We do.
Okay.
And we actually cut the invoices for the carpet or any of the prepayment on the windows at this
The
point?
carpet has been all paid.
Okay.
The windows have been half paid. So, but we still do have some in there for it.
Well, I asked because I wasn't seeing it here yet.
Should be.
I think, I just wanted to note that I think the depiction that the bathrooms need remodeling is an understatement. We have people that won't even use those bathrooms and we get complaints, and they're in
We-
bad shape.
I haven't been down on this one, but this one was remodeled when they built the building. That's the last time that one was ever done, because they had to tear up things to hook into the sewer. So this other building, I don't know how they tied it together, somehow Rock and Rock was tying things together, so this one probably was, at least the floor was done, I don't know if they did anything else, did they do? No? Maybe
Yeah.
not, maybe the outer original.
The check for cause we got the statements, but the check for the carpeting was last month.
Okay, so that's in there.
Yeah, and half of the windows have been also paid. So there's another 9,000 to be paid on windows.
I haven't been in the bathrooms, but are they all handicap code?
Not as of yet. Well,
So will
they
they be?
will, because I believe there is a bar in there and they are wide enough to
They
get
have to be, right?
somebody,
That's
yes,
why I wanted to
yeah.
make sure that
yeah.
we were thinking about those things.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I wanted the, he said taller toilet,
Mhm.
and that is because I wanted a handicapped sized toilet in there.
Yeah, probably you'd have to do it anyway.
That's why.
If the doors are wide, I don't know. I guess the doors are wide.
There was a woman who actually came in. Now, we've replaced the toilet seat in there 3 times. And we're not going over the top on the toilet seat, but for some reason, it keeps breaking. And he says it's because it's uneven and unbalanced. So when you go to sit on it, it kind of tilts. The toilet itself, so it's kind of tilted. I've not used that restroom, even when they were redoing ours. We either went to Thornton's, and that's gotta tell you something if you'd rather go to a gas station, or we went over to, we used the assessor's restroom,
So all the handles will be
Yes.
handicap? Okay.
And maybe that should be included in the proposal too, that it's all ADA compliant.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jerry.
I know we've seen their work before. I'd like to see at least one additional quote from an area contractor that would do this, just so we have apples to apples to compare. Nothing against the guy's work, he's done other stuff here and it's been great. It's
Yeah.
just, I think in the grand scheme of things, we should have at least one additional quote, probably two.
I agree with that, I was gonna say that too. Maybe just, even if it's under our threshold, just for good.
Right,
Good.
because it's under the threshold, I could have done it.
Right.
Just gone and done it, but I did come to you. I like going to Steve just because he knows the building, and he has done a lot of things here before,
And no
so.
one's disagreeing, I just think it's, again, it just shows the public that it's nothing.
Okay.
Let's be prudent about things and
And I would imagine where we're gonna get it, it's gonna be, everything's gonna be great.
Okay, all right, I will do that. So we already have a first and a second. Do we want to, well, we have to have a vote because, or do we want to rescind and wait?
But we're going out for more
How about I get the bids?
I'll
And
withdraw
I-
the motion.
What?
Yeah.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Yeah, let's withdraw, we're gonna go out for another bid, so I can go ahead and second that, I guess. Yeah, let's, if we're going out for more bids, then let's go down and get it.
Technically, it's not a bid, it's just a quote.
It's a
Because
quote.
meets-
It's a
It's
quote.
under the threshold.
Right,
for
and it's
bidding.
under the threshold, so it's just a bid,
Cool.
a quote.
And
All
I
right.
guess, I guess I would say as long as he's still the least expensive, I know it's under that threshold, I think we all agree the bathroom needs to be done.
What I can do is, once I get the other two quotes, I can send them out to everybody, and then we can, I'll send them to
Not vote
everybody.
by email, but.
No, not vote by email, no, definitely not vote by email. Okay, next is consideration and review of the bills. Do I have a motion to, approve the prepaid bills? And that would be the second pack.
So moved.
Have a first or have a second?
I'll second it.
Do we have any discussion on the prepaid bills? Hearing none, go on the vote.
Trustee DeBro,
Aye.
trustee Delamar,
Aye.
trustee McNeil,
Aye.
trustee Larson,
Aye.
supervisor Rush.
Aye. And then can I have a motion to approve the outstanding bills? I need a motion.
So moved.
Second? Okay, and discussion.
Yes. Check number 19219.
Yes.
In my review of that, I understand that that's for a very short period of July, for Thomas Laverso. It was kind of an exception. My other understanding, as based on the notes and everything that's been presented, that bill was just arriving to us now. It's not something that was scrolled away or missed. It's something that was just presented to us this month. I know in the past we agreed to take care of all of his, expenses for everything. But I wanted to make sure that I made a note of that particular bill there.
Okay. And also, if you notice, check number 19216, that is part of our deductible for the current lawsuit that we have. Any other discussion?
On that check 19219
Yes.
to Laverso, I don't know if I can say this right now, so maybe can you hold off on that bill? Are we gonna go to an executive session?
Yes.
Can we talk about that bill in executive session, just for a second? I just want something clarified so that this doesn't, I wanna make sure this is the last bill, maybe that we're gonna get from the guy and everything else is all dropped.
Well, you certainly can. What you need to talk about right now, though, is whether it's a legitimate expense. You can certainly vote on it after you come out of.
I think it's a
public session.
legitimate expense, even though I have questions with the man, and I'd be embarrassed to send the bill a year later myself. I would just.
Well, we can talk about some of those other issues with the lawsuit in closed session.
Yeah,
But right now, I mean, he submitted the bill, you've got 30 days to approve it. If it's a legitimate bill, I mean, you don't have a choice.
no, I don't have a problem approving the bill, I just want a little couple of things tagged to it, that things are taken care of, that,
That probably sounds more like an executive session discussion.
right,
I'll motion to withhold that particular bill from approval.
we'll probably approve when we come back from executive session.
And table
I
this
just
bill
want-
until after the executive
I just
session.
want a few things clarified on that bill.
Okay, that's fine. So we have a motion to approve all bills except for check number 19219. And we have a second? And Bill, was Bill the one who seconded, Lisa
No, that
seconded
was
it. Lisa, would you like to follow that motion? Okay. All right, and call the roll.
Trustee Grow,
Yes.
trustee Delamar,
Yes.
trustee McNeil,
Aye.
trustee Larson,
Aye.
supervisor Roche.
Yes. All right. All right, we are now down to executive session and then old business and new business. Do you want to do old business and new business first, or do you want to go into executive session first?
Why don't we do the old business and get, in case anybody, Gene wants to go home or whatever?
Well, there probably will be a vote after executive session on the outstanding bill.
Yes, there'll be a vote on that.
All right, can you pass that to them? Yes, I'm the first, I did. Nobody did. Yeah, nobody wanted to. All right, also, is there any public participation on anything today?
And we
Did you
missed
pass
that,
it?
didn't we?
What? Yeah, I did it at the beginning, I don't think I did it, yeah.
No.
Nobody had anything to say, huh? Okay. I'm actually gonna chop over to new business real quick. Does anybody have anything under old business? All right. If you notice, we have an emergency. This is my story that we had today. Down in the health department, they had a patient's grandfather who we believe had a heart attack. They called 911, and then they ran into the assessor's office for help, which then the assessor's office ran down there to find out what was going on, and then came to us, but 911 had already been called, so there was an ambulance on the way. They kept asking for the defibrillator, and both Dave and I, having been trained in the past on this, had thought that the only person you can give a defibrillator to is someone who has been trained on it. And according to the fire chief, that is not true. You can give it to anybody who asks for it. In the process of opening it up and giving it to them, we found out that that defibrillator has not worked since 2008. Okay, so fortunately the ambulance arrived just as we were getting the defibrillator out. So they started their work on him. But what we need to do is to replace that defibrillator. The other thing we need to do is to obviously not have it in here in a locked room, because if something happened on the weekend in their office or in the food pantry or someplace, there's no place that anybody can get it. We are going to be in need of two. The first one would be, and this is someplace we would put in the outer hallway so that it could be accessible to anyone. The second one would be at the highway department, because he says he does not have one there, and it would probably be a very good idea to have one. I've already called the fire department. Paula Roars and I are setting up that we are going to have a training session here to do CPR. I was completely surprised. Who else is surprised that nobody in the Lake County Health Department did not know how to do CPR or anything like that? They were not trained. None. Nobody in there was you're shocked. I was completely surprised.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
All right. So when they actually in the whole process of this had already ordered one for their office. They're in the process of ordering one for theirs, so we don't have to cover theirs. But there will be one in the hallway in case they can't access theirs. So we're going to have a class course here that members of the highway department, members of the assessor's office, members of the supervisor's office, and I did invite I will invite the food pantry as well if they want to send anybody over that's a regular employee or a regular volunteer to take this. It's a free course, and it will be held here on a Thursday in the next couple of weeks. Right now, what we do need is to let you know that we do need to purchase this because, as I said, that one's broke. The battery itself, I guess it's the battery that pretty much runs the whole thing. And to replace, the company that makes that one is no longer in business. And to replace the battery, I believe, is $950 or something like that. And we would like one where A, the company is still in business, and B, that we can get future batteries. And the battery on this one was not quite as expensive.
Plus technology's changed quite a bit.
Plus technology has changed quite a bit. So,
I don't have a problem with the purchase, but we should make some kind of a procedure so that they're checked annually along with like
Right.
the smoke detectors.
yes.
And
Yeah.
Fire
the,
We are
Exactly.
already developing, in our office, we're gonna be developing a plan as to what happens if A happens, or B happens, or C happens. The other thing the assessor's office realizes they did not have is a first aid kit. And I tend to accumulate first aid kits. And so our office is fully staffed with a first aid kit. So I told them I would bring them one as well. So they don't even have something if somebody cuts their finger, so
but
you
you
can
should
get
probably beef it up, cause I'm guessing your first aid kit looks like mine.
I did beef it up a little bit. I went to looked at what the deluxe one carried and
Mhm.
deluxed it. I had a basic one and I deluxed it. So what we're going to do is we're going to develop a plan if something like this happens again. Running around screaming with our heads cut off like chickens was not the thing to do today. It didn't get anything done on a very quick basis.
So I'm not trying to beat this to death, but will we have a procedure for like when they're checked? Because
Yes.
my fear would have been had something gone wrong and the paramedics not been so on top of things,
Right.
we would have had some liability, not only in our hearts, that's a different topic, but
Right.
liability for not
Yes.
having appropriate things. We need to
Yes.
show documentation
Yeah,
that.
that was the other thing, I mean, because when we were discussing the fact that it wasn't working, they said, well, how do why, did you not check it? And,
You wouldn't think to. I
you wouldn't think
What
to,
if
you
have a
would think
checklist that
it's
says every
supposed to
6
last.
months
The
you
batteries
need-
are supposed to last for 5 years,
They told us 10.
but the one in there, the one with the fire department told Dave that one is only was a 5-year one. So that's why it wasn't working at all. Also, the battery, like if you open that box up, an alarm is supposed to go off. Well, this is how long it hasn't been opened, is when we opened that box, nothing happened. So the battery to the box where the alarm was also did not work. So yes, I agree, we need a plan so that we check these things on a
And then
regular
just
basis.
initial and date.
Yep,
So that we can say we do it.
yes,
You
there's
know.
testing it.
Isn't this building inspected by the fire department?
It is.
So can't we work together so that when those inspections are done on the fire extinguishers and everything else, that's included?
The fire extinguishers are different from the fire alarms. I mean, everybody has their own separate, who checks what. There's somebody who comes in and checks our fire extinguishers. There's somebody who comes in and checks that panel on the door. There's somebody who comes in and checks something else. So it's a whole range of people who do it. So I think maybe the fire department is the one who checks the panel on the door, and they said to talk to Paula and possibly they can add that on to something like that. But to get it, we can see if they can check that, but it's really up to us to check to make sure we have working equipment.
But I agree, you can have some experts doing it, why put it on us who would look at it and go, hey, it looks good to me, right, Bill?
Here, lay on the floor, let me see if it works.
I mean,
too.
seriously, I look at it and go,
Yeah, take a heart attack.
Right now, Lisa.
Let's test it,
Let's
see if it
test
works.
it out.
Cha-ching. All right, and we're not sure, I know that the grandfather had brought the little boy, and it's now youth and children that they bring, teens, youth and children over there. So it's a grandfather who brought his grandson in, so immediately they called mom, and mom called grandma, because grandpa had helped out. So I don't know what had happened, but let's all just keep him in our thoughts and prayers. All right, so this is something that Bob and I are going to purchase, and I just wanted to let everybody know. And if anybody else would like to take the CPR classes when we have them, I will send out an email to everybody so that anyone who wants to attend can attend. Also, we mentioned it last month, but we didn't, and nobody remembers seeing them. But this is our new brochure, this is made in-house. This is in lieu of our newsletter. I know Jeannie asked for 100 copies and is bringing them or brought them to an event. And anytime we go somewhere, we're going to the senior event, we will have brochures like this with us. If anybody ever goes to like a library or a school or something and would like to bring them, feel free to let me know how many you need. I think she had those made within what, like 15 minutes?
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
Doesn't take that long. And it's got a lot of good information on there. And as a matter of fact, Bob was looking through it and said, oh, I can add this on here too. So it's something that we will look through and keep updated as well.
The girls and I are going to be going to each of the municipalities that are within Avon Township and delivering us a number to each of the municipality offices, so they have them.
And the social workers in the area have them?
We will have them, start handing them out to them when we go to events. Lupe and I have there's a new coordinator over at Mano a Mano, and we have a meeting set up that we're gonna go and we'll bring her some of these as well. Right now, we don't have them in Spanish. Lupe says there is a lot of words in here that do not translate into Spanish, so she says she will be happy to try to do it, but she says most likely it will just be a lot of information that looks like this, only a few of the words will be in Spanish. Right. Anything else?
Your touch-a truck, are we doing that?
We are going to do that. I was trying to, I was waiting for the date for when the construction was gonna be done. Right. So I think we're probably gonna move it into September. And I like later September too, because pumpkins are already growing at that point too, so. If we do it mid to late September, I think that's.
I think
good.
was it last year late September?
I think so.
I think we might have done it, was
Forget
right,
it.
it was the very first day I came back full-time, so, after surgery,
Last
so.
year, don't remember.
You did.
Okay, so then
We
it
did
was
have
probably late
pumpkins.
September then.
Yeah, so we will be doing it, I just don't have a specific date set up
Always
yet.
got another meeting, maybe 2 meetings for it.
Yeah, I think between now and the next meeting, we will come up with something, because what I normally do is go through the villages, the park districts' calendars to see, you know, if it's gonna be too busy of a weekend to do something. So I think we'll start that maybe soon and figure that out. Anything else? All right. All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So move.
And a second,
To discuss litigation.
to discuss litigation.
And that one bill.
Well, it's part of the litigation.
Discuss litigation.
Do that.
Okay, Clerk Kirby?
Trustee Larson,
Aye.
trustee Grow,
Aye.
trustee Delamar, aye, trustee McNeil,
Aye.
supervisor Rush.
Aye.
We're gonna do it here and ask.
Are you
the
gonna
audience to
leave?
live.
I'm leaving.
You're leaving? All right, he's leaving. Travis, are you gonna